Hey, what is going on, trainers? My name is TamezTech. Welcome to a new video. Today we're going to be checking out the Pokemon from the question of the day yesterday. I believe these old meta Titans, which to be fair, they aren't very old. These Titans are being disrespected immensely in this new season of Go Battle League. So let's go ahead and check out these battles, see how they did. We were running Galarian Moltres in the lead, Shadow Caesar in the save swap, and Stunfisk, Unova Stunfisk in the back. So this is a very balanced team, but it does definitely have its core breakers. Dedenne lead or Ufisk lead, for example, are very problematic Pokemon, but you'll see in this game how we deal with those Pokemon and actually beat them. So let's go ahead and check out the games here. Let's get this started. Alright, Darth Ninja Lemon. We lead into a Gyarados, a little bit of a tricky lead. I'm going to swap in my Caesar, see what I can bait out. This is what Caesar is usually for, since fires aren't really common, either last meta or this meta. Caesar's pretty safe, we can bring it in, see what we can do. I know bullet punches are assisted, but it is Gyarados, so these things are still going to chunk. Night Slash is definitely going to take a shield. I don't want to throw a Trailblaze just because I don't think it's going to help me get the farm down any much better than I need the pacing. I believe Gyarados still outpaces, so I'm going to throw my Night Slash here. They are playing this pretty well, you know, because they do fully outpace me, so I figured they'd shield this, but they actually let it go, which is really weird. And then they bring in a Gastrodon, which is even more weird. This Gastrodon would have been an amazing answer to Caesar. And then they let the Trailblaze go. They have a Galarian Corsola in the back, and we have the perfect answer for this with Moltres. And I'm just going to get a little bit cheeky here and catch a Power Gem on my Ufisk because I am a terrible person. I definitely didn't need to do this to win the game, but that definitely seals it for my opponent, unfortunately. We're able to take that game and on to the next really fast. Let's check out this game. Okay, Dedenne leads, shiny Dedenne at that. So this is a very problematic Pokemon. We're going to bring in Caesar. Unfortunately, since we do get the one-turn swap, they're able to not take an extra bullet punch of damage before they're debuffed. And then they bring in Toedscruel. So they force my shield, bring in Toedscruel. I'm going to throw the Trailblaze here, and they no shield. Now, I believe if I shield this, I'm able to flip switch advantage, which is massive for us, right? They throw the Seed Bomb, which is a misplay. If they wrap, they probably would have been able to farm us down, or it would have been a Simul KO. So we were able to take that. We come out with a Trailblaze. So whatever comes in, we're just going to Trailblaze. Dedenne comes in. We're able to land a double boosted Bullet Punch against this Dedenne. That puts him into the yellow. That's amazing. That basically means they are in Mud Bomb range. We swap in Ufisk, they bring in a Togekiss. I make a little bit of a misplay here. I'm a little bit scared of a Dazzling Gleam, so I CMP on the Brave Bird. But it's an Aura Sphere, so now that we're debuffed, they're going to be able to farm us all the way down, right? Togekiss shields that. They have a really good pacing against my Ufisk here, so they're probably going to be able to get 2 Aura Spheres off. Although thanks to the Brave Bird debuff as well, they weren't able to get too much farm. My opponent makes quite a misplay here. They bring in Dedenne right away, and I'm able to just get rid of it. Play Rough is still going to be the most damaging move left in the game, right? So I'm able to just play to the CMP time. My opponent doesn't throw the move because they have to double up to win. And we win that game. So we just beat the Dedenne lead with Caesar and Moltres. Pretty good. Okay, Ufisk lead. This is extremely problematic, but I do have a way to play this out. I always shield the first move, I throw my Trailblaze, and usually Ufisk users, they don't have a great answer to Caesar, and they always shield the Trailblaze, right? This is usually their Caesar answer, so I overfarm a little bit. I want to make sure I'm 4 away from a move if something else comes in to farm me down. They do shield, and this is working out perfectly. Caesar still survives this move, yeah? So we are able to get to another Trailblaze and either force down both shields or flip alignment. So let's see what my opponent does here. They drop both shields. Now I can put my Ufisk into their own. We catch a discharge because we're just absolutely terrible people. We're able to catch a discharge on our Ufisk. They bring in Cradily. Now this is looking a little bit complicated, right? We might not have the play we want here. Unfortunately, that Ufisk still has a lot of energy on it. And this Cradily, I mean, my win con here is to call a Rock Tomb bait, which they really don't have to go for, right? So I throw this Mud Bomb just to burn the clock a little bit. Gonna be able to bring in Moltres right away, farm up a bunch of energy. Rock Tomb is gonna be the most damaging move left in the game. So we're gonna shield that up, and they have Dugong in the back. And this game, unfortunately, it just really wasn't winnable. We throw the Brave Bird just to land the most amount of damage, but I have to overfarm quite a bit. I need to get to 3 moves against the rest of the Pokemon left, and I just don't think there's a way for me. I overfarm quite heavily here. There is an argument to be made that I should have overfarmed elsewhere instead of here, just because everything else is resisted, but I get outpaced by the Ufisk, I get farmed down by the Cradily here, and unfortunately we're not able to take that game. Let's see what we see in this game. We see Dusclops lead. This is an amazing lead. Let's see if my opponent agrees with my statement. It seems like they do. Yeah, they think that's a pretty good lead for us. So they just instantly surrender, and we're off to the next battle right away. I feel bad for that trainer, but like I said, they are disrespecting Moltres. Not this one though. This trainer is really scared of it, running Dedenne lead. They bring in Lapras though. This is not a Caesar counter at all. Not even close. Caesar's able to land this Trailblaze if they no shield. Perfect. 1 shield farm down. We're pretty much set. If they bring in Dedenne, they are gonna take a world of hurt. So let's see what they do here. We farm down the Lapras. We still have a lot of HP. They bring in Dedenne, and they CMP tie us on a Trailblaze. That is amazing. That means they're either gonna shield or let their Dedenne go. They shield. I don't have to shield my Caesar, but I guess I will. I'll take the Bullet Punch damage here. Let's see what they want to do. We bank the Night Slash, catch the Parabolic Charge on Ufisk, and I mean, this is going really well. I make a little bit of a misplay here. I should have thrown my Mud Bomb right away. I let them bank a Parabolic Charge, and that makes this game a little bit more complicated with this Venu coming in. If I throw that Mud Bomb, I'm able to not only deny them banking a Parabolic, but also I burn the clock against their other Pokemon first before they're able to swap out, right? So they CMP tie us on the Frenzy Plant here, really smart by my opponent. Unfortunately for them, 2 Sludges shouldn't knock out my Moltres, and I still have a Night Slash on my Scizor. That Dedenne really only has about 2, maybe 3 HP. So yeah, they can bring it in here, knock out my Moltres, that's totally fine. My Scizor's never really going to get Vine Whip down, even at this health range, so my opponent concedes the match there. GG's to them. Really well played by them. Let's see here. We lead into an Altaria, okay? Not an amazing lead. We kind of have 2 answers to this, so I throw a Sucker Punch just to have a little bit of residual energy. And even with that Sucker Punch thrown, we can still outpace the Altaria to moves, right? So that's still a decently smart play. If I would have done 2 Sucker Punches, it would have been a little bit more complicated because the Altaria can outpace to the Sky attacks. But just with 1, we kind of take the cake here. We're able to win the 1-0 scenario. Altaria does shield though, and I'm figuring out at this point, I probably want to keep alignment, right? If they're staying in Caesar against Altaria, I have a feeling they might be weak to Caesar in the back, and they kind of are. They bring in Clodsire. So let's see what we can do here. We can land a Trailblaze. They're probably going to throw right before we get to our Night Slash, so they should throw after 4. But they throw after 3. So that's a little bit of a miscount by them. They do get less energy than they needed. We bring in Ufisk here. Let's see what we can do. They don't throw their energy quite yet, so that's terrifyingly good for me. I'm able to force a shield with the Mud Bomb. I try to catch an Earthquake there onto the Moltres, but unfortunately my opponent, really good play. They wait a turn, make sure their move is going to land on the intended target. I throw my Fly right away, which is a big misplay by me. I should have overfarmed to the Brave Bird, but thankfully this does mean that I still get good pacing against this Lapras, and they have to throw really early, and it's all thanks to that extra Sucker Punch I got before, right? So it's all coming around. At this point, I really just have to throw my Discharge right away here. Tanking a Sparkling Aria would practically lose us the game. And at this range, we're still healthy enough that we'll survive an Earthquake, no problem. And Clodsire is not going to survive a Mud Bomb. So even if they had Earthquake and Sludge Bomb, or Earthquake and Stone Edge, that would have knocked out. They needed the back-to-back, and you can't have back-to-back Earthquakes with Clodsire, so we win that game. Amazing lead in the next match. We lead into Gastrodon. They swap into Togekiss, and oh boy, trainer, you are in for it today. We bring in Scizor. Togekiss is not a safe swap. One shield farm down all the way. You can bring your Gastro all you want, but I'm going to get to 2 Trailblazes pretty confidently. And your Gastrodon is lying down to my Moltres, so, I mean, are you really going to get a lot of use of that? My opponent thinks they do, and to be fair, they are right. We're really weak to Gastro on the back, but they're never going to get the alignment they want here, right? So we get both shields, we allow the farm down to happen. Scizor has done way more of a job than it should have, but it did. And now we have Gastro on our Moltres. Let's see what the opponent wants to do here. Try and catch a fly. That's totally fine. We bank a Brave Bird. Bring in Ufisk into the Charjabug, which is an extremely based Pokemon. I do want to try Shadow Charjabug soon, so maybe you guys will see that in the video. But yeah, they need 3 X-Scissors to knock us out here. We're over farming very, very heavily here. Just make sure we're able to control the switch timer with our charge attacks, just so that we can predict when that Gastrodon is going to come in, and make sure that we don't get sniped by a Mud Slap or 2, right? So at this point, I'm predicting they're going to bring in their Gastro right after this, so I swap out. Lo and behold, they do exactly that play. I had the Brave Bird, I should have thrown that, but I also don't want to give that Charjabug more farm. So we actually CMP here, which is perfect. This Gastrodon should be in farm down range for me, right? So we throw the Thunder Shocks. We get pretty low there, but at this point, Charjabug needs 2 moves, and they're never getting there. We still have a shield. We can CMP tie and win. Awesome game right there. On to the next battle, Shadow Steelix lead. This is absolutely atrocious for us. Let's see what we can do here. We bring in Scizor. Scizor, unfortunately, Scizor's gonna die. Scizor's gonna die. Sometimes when you lead against Steelix, at least last season when this happened to me, you kind of want Scizor to be like a panic button for the opponent and make them mess up. Unfortunately, this opponent did not mess up. They shielded the Trailblaze, they farmed us all the way down, they throw the Psychic Fangs to deny us from getting to a Night Slash after the Trailblaze, so they've played this perfectly at this point. I bring in Ufisk into the Steelix, and to be fair, we burned the clock. We pretty much have alignment at this point. So I don't throw my energy against the Corviknight, even though it's a super effective discharge. I don't want to be trapped with my Moltres onto that Steelix for any amount of time whatsoever, right? So we bring in Moltres into the core. We can survive 2 Air Cutters really, really comfortably. Payback is resistive, so they can't go for that. And I'm just going to over farm a bunch until I can throw the Brave Bird here. This shouldn't knock out yet, but my opponent shields it, and at this point, I feel like my Moltres has done its job. They let me get to a fly, they catch it on Steelix. That is totally fine by me. That is totally fine. I feared that a Mud Bomb wouldn't knock out from the green anyways, so putting them into Mud Bomb knockout range, that's perfectly good for me. This Steelix is still a problem, right? Altaria comes in, and even though this is a really, really neutral matchup, we do have 2 shields up, right? These Dragon Breaths are kind of break pointing us, so I believe my opponent might have a little bit more more attack than a conventional high rank Altaria. But we're still able to get to all the discharges we need here. I believe we have to make a catch to guarantee the win. So I'm going to overfarm a little bit, swap into my Moltres, my opponent throws on alignment, and thankfully we're able to catch the Sky Attack there. Smart undercharge by my opponent, but these Sucker Punches are chunking the Altaria, which means that basically 1 discharge is going to be all we need to knock him out. And yeah, the Corviknight comes in. I have to call an Air Cutter to have a win here. But also, I guess we just shield the first and it should be fine, right? Because regardless of the amount of energy they had, they only get to 2 Air Cutters or 1 payback. So GG. GG to my opponent there. We are able to take the win, knock out the Corviknight with the discharge. And that is all she wrote. On to the next battle here. Let's see what we got. Famo. I believe that's a famous person. I'm not sure. Okay, Carbon Cleave. This is atrocious, but we have 2 really good answers to this, right? We bring in Scizor. Opponent takes a while. And we know that if they don't shield this Trailblaze, we can flip switch. So fingers crossed, they shield it. and that pretty much loses us the game on the spot. We can't realign our Stunfisk into the Carbink. I do shield this move just to get both shields down, see if I can make something happen, right? But yeah, just having that Moltres aligned onto the Carbink is really bad for us. I'm gonna bring in Moltres just to get this farm down. At this point, Moltres is kind of useless for us. You know, it's not really worth investing shields into this Pokemon. We can tank 2 Raps. I believe they only get 1 anyway, though. They bring in Carbink, we swap Ufisk right away, and they have Corsola in the back. So yeah, this was just practically abysmal alignment for us. It was an RPS game. Corsola is neutral enough into Ufisk that even with that shield advantage, we're not going to be able to take this game. I have a little bit of a play here. I can overfarm, kind of burn the clock a little bit, try to snipe with my Moltres, but my biggest misplay this game was not staying Moltres into Carbink and banking a move. If I would have done that, I believe I would have had play, because the Fly would have done enough damage to this Corsola that a Mud Bomb would have knocked out at the end. But unfortunately, my opponent reacts fast enough that they're able to pivot into their Carbink before I throw the Fly. I'm gonna get to the Brave Bird here and do some decent damage. I should be able to knock out the Carbink with 1 Mud Bomb here, which I will CMP tie them to. So let's see. Yeah, we have back-to-back moves here, but as you will see, this Corsola is a little bit too healthy, and if we would have landed a Fly into it, we probably would have knocked it out right here. So yeah, unfortunately they outpaced by about 3 turns there, which is basically an Astonish worth of energy, and we're not able to take that game. So that's our second loss of the day. Let's go ahead and check out the last battle of the day, see if we can end on a high note here. Shadow Charizard lead, a little bit tricky. Let's see how this goes, right? This is good to see here, but I would prefer to see it on my Stunfisk. If you've realized though, these Sucker Punches are chunking, and at this point I'm thinking, if I call an Air Cutter, I could probably farm this thing all the way down, no? They do get the boost, so that's a little scary, but let's see. I think these Sucker Punches are chunking enough. My opponent tries for the farm down and they don't get it, so we win the 1-0 shields and we come out with a Fly. That's amazing. Opponent brings in Dusclops, we're able to land a Fly and a Sucker Punch into them, and at this point I have my Scizor, right? So I'm thinking, okay, well at this point I think I'm just gonna farm this all the way down, maybe force a shield with a Night Slash, see what we can do. They bring in Gastrodon. Oh my god, trainer. If they stayed Dusclops into Scizor, I believe they would have had play. But now that they brought Gastrodon, which is probably one of the hardest counters for my Ufisk, it's a GG. They try to call the Night Slash page. I really don't have a reason to bait there. I mean, I have to full send the Trailblaze. So we're able to force a final shield. My opponent, they're not even going to be able to farm us down to see the back Pokemon. We're able to take that game really comfortably there. And that is going to be the last battle of the day. Like I said, guys, all these Pokemon are being severely disrespected this season. I know it's still the beginning of the season, so people are still trying, new and fun Pokemon. But I did see a lot of Dusclops, a lot of Fairies, a lot of, Carbink. So I figured, okay, I think my old Legend team might have some play. And lo and behold, it did. It went 8-2. So you guys feel free to try this team. It's really decent. Not as good as the team from yesterday. I believe Empoleon is still a really top meta pick. But yeah, feel free. Let's go ahead and head to the question of the day, see what I got for you guys. Alright, so the question of the day is, what's your go-to Pokemon in the Go Battle League? Sometimes we get a little bit fatigued building all these teams, and it's just a lot of thinking, make sure we don't get RPS'd or we're super weak to a particular Pokemon, cough, Incineroar into a Azumarill. But my go-to Pokemon is Scizor. I love Shadow Scizor. Shadow Scizor has carried me through so many games, so much ELO last season, decent amount of ELO this season. So if you guys have a go-to, feel free to leave it down in the comments, and I will see you in tomorrow's video. You guys take care and goodbye.